Your headlines on this Tuesday morning. The fifth Republican debate will begin tonight in Las Vegas. We'll tell you which candidate is in the spotlight this morning. And going digital, we'll tell you why a local community now has a cinema once again after upgrading to digital technology. Plus, Anthony DeBruzzi is live with advice on how you can stay safe on the roads this winter. Those stories and a look at your forecast are coming up right now.
Your local news and weather from where you live. News Watch 12 Today starts now.
Good morning, I'm Janina Lockwood. Thanks for waking up right here with us at 6:01 on Tuesday, December 15th. We've got plenty to tell you about this morning, but first let's get you dressed and out the door. Let's check in with Ren Claire standing by in our weather center. Ren, how's it looking for the rest of our day?
Well, we have a more mild day ahead of us, starting out the morning with calm winds and more December-like temperatures and no rain to speak of. However, those roads are still a little bit icy, so do allow a little extra time out on the roads as you are driving today, because after all that water and then a little bit of snow, those conditions are quite slick. Still pretty uniform cloud cover throughout the state, and like I mentioned, temperatures are in the upper 20s here, about 10 degrees cooler, certainly more December-like. Further south, they're looking at temperatures in the low 30s. We're not going to warm up all that much, but still manage to be above average a couple days more here. Then things are going to change pretty quickly for us. I'll have your full forecast right after the break. Janine?
All right, well, thanks for that, Ren. Prosecutors in Oneida County believe a Harsham man huffed Ultra Duster, then flipped his truck. They also think a 7-week-old infant was in the car at the time. Now, 31-year-old Michael Truby is charged with a felony. That's for allegedly causing injuries from an OWI with a child in the car. Police got a call about the crash in Rhinelander on Friday morning. According to court documents, Truby drove over about 15 pine trees near Olson Lane behind Shopko. He then crossed 4 lanes of traffic on Highway 17. The truck then rolled over into the ditch on the other side of the road. Truby told police he had huffed Ultra Duster earlier on that morning. His cash bond was set at $1,500. Wisconsin State Police will try to learn more about a car crash that killed a man in Price County. 2 others were also hurt in that crash yesterday morning. The crash happened on Highway 13 north of Holy Cross Road near Park Falls. A 76-year-old man lost control of his car and sideswiped another vehicle. He then hit another car head-on. The man, whose name is being withheld, died. The drivers in the other vehicles had minor injuries. It's 6:03. Knowing how to react when driving on bad roads this winter can keep you and fellow drivers safe. Even without snow, roads can be a little bit slippery and dangerous. Anthony DeBruzzi is at Cruisers Driving School in Tomahawk this morning with more details on how you can stay safe this winter. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Janine. That's right. We don't have any snow just yet, but that doesn't mean you don't need to drive safely and take some of those precautionary steps. This morning, I'm joined by Michelle, and Michelle, we have pretty much a textbook case of, making sure we're driving safe even though there's no snow. It was a wet last night, but now it's a cold morning, and we have a little snow out there, but not a whole lot. Tell me what should be on people's minds as they head out the door this morning.
Well, keeping your following distance when you have these icy conditions is very important. Plus, you want to check your snow tires or your tires to make sure that they're good for snow conditions. So most people will drive on tires that have 2 seconds to 4 seconds worth of tread in the summer, thinking those are, good. But in the winter, you need more like 6 seconds of tread. And then you have to remember that in colder weather, you start losing air in your tires. So you have to check your tire pressure as well to make sure you're taking advantage of the entire footprint of the tire.
Sure, so it's not necessarily just about making sure we as drivers behind the wheel are being safe, but also kind of checking the parts out on our car to make sure they're safe for the road. Now, one of the things we talked about earlier is following distance. It's something that changes this time of year. Tell me about what's normal and what people should be doing to be extra safe.
Well, during dry conditions, you can follow safely at 4 to 6 seconds of following distance between you and the car in front of you. But in the wintertime, you have to double that, making sure that if the car in front of you loses control, that you have plenty of time to stop or evade the situation. So you need to double that space.
Yeah, and there's actually a right way to stop. I know when I started driving, and anybody probably starts driving, if you start losing control, the first reaction is to hit the brakes, but you don't want to do that.
No, in these kind of conditions, in the fall and in the spring, when your weather conditions are changing from wet to freezing, you have to be very, very careful about bridges and overpasses where they will freeze first, so the rest of the road might be just wet. And then you hit this bridge and all of a sudden your car starts to lose its momentum or lose control. Your natural reaction is to hit the brake. A better way to drive over bridges and overpasses would be to slow down before you ever hit them and then keep a nice constant slower speed across them so you're not either hitting the brake or taking your foot rapidly off the gas, which would change the momentum of your car.
Sure. All things to keep in mind this year that are especially important. Well, we're covering the news live here in Tomahawk. Anthony DeBruzzi, News Watch 12.
It's 6:07. New for you this morning. The state's Department of Health Services will no longer try to place a convicted sex offender from Milwaukee in the town of El Dorado. Fond du Lac County District Attorney Eric Toney said yesterday that state officials noted that a preemptive ordinance passed last week in El Dorado has, quote, led to this placement no longer being viable. Now the agency has requested 90 days to find another housing option for Clint Rhymes. The ordinance passed in a hasty special meeting. And it says that the community would accept released sex offenders from Fond du Lac County only. Rhymes was convicted in 1988 of sexual assault and attempted murder. You'll see another packed stage full of candidates at the main stage Republican debate tonight, but the focus could reflect the new reality currently in the race. Donald Trump continues to lead nationwide. However, Texas Senator Ted Cruz is gaining ground in Iowa. The Quinnipiac University poll shows that Trump has 28% from Republican caucus goers in Iowa. Senator Ted Cruz is in a very close second with 27%.
I like him. He's been so nice to me. I mean, I could say anything, and he said, I agree, I agree. But I think the time will come to an end pretty soon, it sounds like.
Senator Marco Rubio is in third place with 14%. He spoke out against Trump's recent plan to temporarily ban Muslims from entering the U.S. Rubio simply calls the idea offensive and outlandish.
That there's a narrative that ISIS and other jihadists pose that this is a war between Muslims and the rest of the world, and that sort of victimization narrative is something we shouldn't contribute to. On the other hand, we have to acknowledge that there is a radical element in Islam, jihadism, that needs to be called by name and needs to be confronted.
The main debate will start tonight on CNN. It should start at about 7:30. It's 6:08. Movie lovers in two local communities can still turn to their local theaters. That's after some hard work and fundraising. Cinema North in Phillips was at risk of closing. This Tomahawk Cinema actually did close for about a month. That's because they needed to upgrade from using film to projecting with digital equipment. Newswatch 12's Caitlin Howe has our story.
The days of using 35mm film at two local theaters are over. Now, all it takes to start a movie is pressing a button.
The only thing you do then at the beginning, you turn on switches. At the end of the night, you turn off switches. Everything else is on and off automatically.
Jim Billick owns Cinema North and Tomahawk Cinema. It was difficult to get new movies at the theaters. That's because film companies were making fewer copies on 35mm film. I
did get new movies this summer, but I had to play it in the two locations, and they look at numbers, and so it had to be played in Phillips first, and I moved here, so they were fresh but not brand new.
Community members helped fundraise for the new equipment. Money raised was used on a down payment.
They were pulling out some equipment of another theater and gave me a package deal, taking the money we've raised so far in our different fundraising projects as a down payment, and then work with me on a payment schedule.
The upgrade at both theaters has been stressful.
It's been a crazy 2 weeks of trying to do both locations at the same time.
But Billick is happy to see the Tomahawk Cinema open again.
I think in general the community, they appreciate having a theater open. It's sort of sad to drive by at night and not see the lights on, even if you don't go to the movies.
Owners hope the community supports the theaters by going to the movies. We're covering the news in Tomahawk. Caitlin Howe, Newswatch 12.
6:10 right now. Coming up on Newswatch 12 today, Go Pack Go is the Packers defense that's been making headlines following their game against the Cowboys on Sunday. We'll tell you why. Plus, on Wisconsin, a Wisconsin linebacker is named second team All-American. Those details ahead in your sports headlines.
Welcome back. Well, we had some sloppy winter weather yesterday with plenty of rain and a little bit of snow as well. Much more mild this morning. We do have that uniform cloud cover, as well as a couple reports of light flurries from Wally, actually, in Bills Lake, as well as the chance for some freezing drizzle here this morning that will pass rather quickly. Then we're just dealing with a dry day on tap. Those roads, though, are still very slick this morning after we did get all of that water the last couple of days, and then we did fall below freezing, as well as got just a bit of a dusting here in the Northwoods in terms of snow. So roads a little bit slick and icy out there. We do have a flood advisory in effect for the Wisconsin River south of Merrill through Portage and Wood counties, and that is just the chance for minor flooding. So those banks probably don't want to go too close to those, but otherwise not a whole lot to be concerned about there. We do have, again, a drier and milder day, and then we have the chance for light snow returning late tonight after midnight, scatter showers returning tomorrow, and we could be dealing with some more sloppy winter weather with that wintry mix of rain, sleet, and snow. Temperatures this morning much more December-like in the upper 20s, low 30s further south. We're going to be looking at a little bit of a cooler day on tap. Those dew points have dropped a good bit as well, about 15 degrees, so much drier air overhead and not as windy today as what we had yesterday. Winds picking up, though, again tonight. Throughout the day today, pretty calm and mellow. We'll keep that cloud cover through the afternoon hours as well, but no precipitation to speak of. Then tonight, our next system starts to make its way in from the Rockies, and by tomorrow morning, we could be dealing with a little bit of snow, most likely rain by the time you're headed to work, but those roads could be a little bit dicey there again as we will be transitioning from below freezing back to above freezing with highs tomorrow a little bit warmer. Those scatter showers continuing throughout the day, and then by the evening we'll transition over to a wintry mix, if not a little bit of snow, but just scattered showers here and not a lot of accumulation to speak of. Satellite and radar showing out to our west. Our next system is developing over at the Rockies. That's going to move in by tomorrow, and then we are going to see a little bit of snow in here. There you can see that system there with some flurries out behind it. We could be looking at flurries as that system passes as well by Thursday, but just a slight chance for that. Highs today a little bit cooler in the low 30s, lows tonight in the upper 20s, still above average with that chance for light snow late tonight. And looking at your Northwoods Furniture Gallery 7-day forecast, you can see after Wednesday we just have a slight chance for flurries by Thursday. Then a big cool down for the end of your work week with highs in the low 20s. Janine?
All right, well, thanks for that, Ren. It's 6:16 right now. We're taking a look at your sports headlines. Packers fans hope they can see more defensive performances like what we saw on Sunday. The Dallas Cowboys only gained 270 yards for the entire game. However, Dallas did have about 170 yards on the ground. And Packers players know that was at least one problem with their performance.
I thought overall we did, very well as a defense. Unfortunately, gave up those two huge runs. We responded on that first drive with the interception, but you can't make those mistakes at this point in the season. But
let's take a look at that interception once again. It was Sam Shields' third pick of the season. Players said Dallas stuck to its game plan early on.
But eventually they had to open up the offense a little bit, allow for our pass rushers to create a little havoc, and at the same time get a little creative with the blitzes. So. And that's what this defense is built upon, is creating turnovers, getting sacks, pressures on the quarterback, and it obviously starts with having a comfortable lead.
The Packers will play the 6-7 Oakland Raiders this Sunday. That game is scheduled for 3:05 on Fox. Wisconsin senior linebacker Joe Schobert now sits on a pretty exclusive list. The former walk-on from Waukesha West High School was named a second-team All-American by the Associated Press. Schobert had 18.5 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks this season. He was also tied for number 4 in forced fumbles with 4 of them. Wisconsin will play USC in San Diego on December 30th at 9:30 at night on ESPN. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's 6:21 and we're taking a break from our news headlines to see what's trending on social media this morning. Perfecting a dance routine can take around-the-clock work. But this YouTube video shows Korean pop star Psy practicing his routine for the latest single called Daddy. Even during rehearsal, the moves are pretty mesmerizing. Take a look. I don't know about you, but that just makes me want to get up and dance.